What is up, my bodyweight warriors, and welcome back to another video and another Do It Right episode. This is a series in which we break down a bunch of different stretches. We've already had things like the hip flexor and the pigeon stretch. If you want to suggest a stretch or a position that you want to see on the Do It Right series, why not leave a comment in the comment section down below and suggest the topic for the next video. Today's video, I'm going to be going over the butcher's block. The butcher's block is an incredible stretch for the lats, for the triceps, and also just that overhead shoulder position that is so crucial for calisthenics. If you want to do anything like hand balancing, handstand, or any overhead work, having some good shoulder flexibility is going to be key for that, and the butcher's block is really the top move when it comes to stretching out the lats. In this video, I'm going to share with you the correct form, do's and don'ts when it comes to the butcher's block, as well as a few variations that might mix up your training if you've done the butcher's block before in the past and give you something new to try. Let's jump straight into it. First thing I see commonly when it comes to mistakes on the butcher's block is compensation in the lower back. And this is when you see that arching of the lower back as opposed to maintaining a slightly hollowed body so it translates better over to the handstand. The butcher's block is a T-spine, thoracic spine mobilization, so we want to focus on the extension coming from the thoracic spine. If we extend in our lower back, then all we're going to be doing is we're going to be reducing the focus placed on the thoracic, and we're compensating. That's all we're doing. So what we need to do instead is we need to embrace the core, we need to bring awareness to our core, flatten out that lower back, and focus on trying to hinge in that thoracic spine around that shoulder blade region. This is instantly going to improve the stretch you get when doing this exercise. No matter what variation you're going to be doing, you're going to feel an increase of the stretch on the lats and actually where we want to be stretching and mobilizing. The next form mistake that I commonly see people do is a lack of external rotation of the shoulder. Now, the way to do this is to use the stick. Now, the stick is going to force our hand position on this stretch. What we want to do is we want to make sure we maintain external rotation of the shoulders. So to do this, we want to place the hands outside of the shoulder line, not in line with it, not inside of it. We want to be outside. This is going to force that external rotation. And as the lat is an internal rotator of the shoulder, this is going to provide more of a stretch on the lat and then also translate more into hand balancing, overhead positions where we want that external rotation. Again, just like the first form cue, this will make this stretch instantly more intense, but also more applicable and more effective. So it's definitely one that you need to consider. The last form comment is not really a mistake as such, just a comment on one particular thing I often see attention drawn to, and that is the hand placement. Whether or not you need to flex the elbows maximally and have the hands on the back of your shoulders, whether you just have the forearms at 90 degrees, the answer is it kind of depends on the stretch that you want to have. It's not going to make a huge amount of difference on the stretch at the lat, but it will increase the stretch over the tricep, which could make the stretch intense in general. So you can always play around with this and see which one gives you more of a stretch, and that one's likely going to benefit you most. So now we got the do's and the don'ts out of the way, let's move on to some variations in which you can perform the butcher's block. So obviously we have the standard butcher's block exercise. This is performed using a stick or something that you can fix your hand position in place. You're then going to need a block to perform it on. I like the block to be around knee height-ish. I think this allows a better position so that you can apply pressure and force your shoulders to extend a little bit higher, and you have the tendency to promote that arching of the back. So once you have this block, you have the stick, make sure you fix that external rotation, drop down into your butcher's block, making sure you keep a slight hollowed body, focus on the extension at the thoracic, and then from here, you can just hold. This is your standard butcher's block stretch for the lats. An alternative that you can do is basically moving the stick, adding a little bit of dynamic element to this otherwise static stretch. And what we can perform here is essentially a kind of very weird bicep curl movement. So what we can do is we can go from fully extended arms and then fully flexed arms. And then you'll find the stretch will change as you move this position, but try to maintain that fixed external rotation of the arms. Again, here we can perform 10, 15 reps at a nice, reasonable, slow tempo. The next variation I want to share with you is the weighted butcher's block. Now this one does break form cue number 2 depending on how you perform it. If you're performing it as I'm performing it here with a kettlebell, then yes, I am actually going to have a little bit of internal rotation of the shoulder because I'm not fixing my hands outside of that shoulder width. So if you have a weighted barbell or something that you can fix your hands, then yes, this works perfectly. I only had a kettlebell, and to be honest, the compromise of having a slight internal rotation isn't the worst thing in the world. This one you'd use for somebody who's maybe a little bit tighter, who needs a little bit more force to get a better stretch in this position. Having some weight on the back can do that. Alternatively, you could just hold the stick and place a weight, or get a friend to place a weight on your back. The last variation I want to share with you is the combination of a CatCow, which would be kind of a yoga-ish position in which you're going on all fours and moving up and down into extension and flexion of the spine, but then applying this to the butcher's block. So we're going to have our hands in a position of a more intense lat stretch. And then from here, we can move up and down, focusing on the movement coming from the sternum, from the thoracic, pushing our chest, our sternum down into extension, and then lifting it up into a more excessive flexion of the spine. Now this one, again, this adds a dynamic element to an otherwise static stretch. It also helps at moving in and out of that range of motion, can be effective, and depending on what you're after out of the stretch. But again, those are kind of 3 variations you can play with. I'm not going to sit here and say one is better than the other, because it depends on who you are and what particular circumstance. Sometimes the standard old butcher's block will do the trick, but it's nice to play around with some different variations, and you can give all of these a go. But that has been it for this week, guys. If you have any suggestions for a future Do It Right episode, why not leave a comment down below? I'd love to hear your opinion on this. If you just enjoyed this video, you can always hit that thumbs up button and support the channel. Right next to it is also that subscribe button if you want to join the Bodyweight Warrior tribe. We're so close to 200,000 subscribers, which is mad. But that has been it for this week, guys. I'll catch you in the next episode. Have a strong week, and peace.